Thomas, and welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So, today there's been a lot of back and forth in regards to the Supreme Court picks. Democrats have been somewhat beating their chests about it. They've been feeling a bit of heat from the progressives, from their base, wanting them to kind of go to war over this stuff. Now, I don't know whether they're going to necessarily respond that way, and this is just chest thumping. Earlier in one of the articles I think I did yesterday, it was political theater. They were saying they were trying to get other progressives to essentially bow their heads and let Trump's nominee go past. But they were going to essentially pretend to give him a rough tumble, but ultimately confirming him. So look, I don't know if that's still the case and this is just chest thumping, or if they actually are growing a spine, realizing that their base is pissed. I don't know. So Trump says go nuclear as Democrats brace for Gurish fight. And I pronounced his name pretty poorly. But basically what it boils down to is they realize that Democrats have no incentive at all to help them out to get this guy nominated. Because the Democrats can't filibuster. They have enough. I think they have 48 seats. So the Republicans need to get at least 8 Democrats, 9 Democrats maybe. No, 8 Democrats because Mike Pence is the tiebreaker. So right, they only need to bring over 8 Democrats. Which 8 are they going to get? I have a hard time believing they're going to get any of those 8. No, and to be fair, actually they may get some. There may be some conservative Democrats in Trump's district, but I have a hard time believing they're going to get 8. So Trump says, if we end up with that gridlock, I would say, if you can, Mitch, go nuclear. Because that would be an absolute shame if a man of this quality was put up to that neglect. I would say it's up to Mitch, but I would say go for it. You know, we should have a bit of a history lesson. Do you remember after Obama got in, and Obama came in with supermajority in the Senate, a crushing majority in the House, and for the most part, they could have did anything they wanted to do. And they passed a right-wing healthcare bill. But beyond that part, if you remember, they lost the supermajority. I think it was Scott Brown in Massachusetts. And in losing that supermajority, for the most part, they didn't have the ability to essentially enforce their way. Because Harry Reid did not want to go the nuclear route. He had the option, he just didn't want to do it. He felt at some point the Democrats were going to be in a situation where they needed the filibuster. And they are here. They are here. But even back then, I never understood the strategy, because that strategy presupposes that if you don't remove the nuclear option, that the other person won't either. I don't know why they thought that. So, I mean, and think about it. During the time that Obama was in, when he first got in, they were unyielding opposition. I mean, these guys had a meeting, I think it was like Newt Gingrich and a bunch of his other cohorts. We're talking about unyielding opposition to any and everything Obama puts out. And that strategy, to some degree, kind of explains why they look so goddamn ridiculous when they're opposing Obama. Obama comes out with right-wing stuff at times, and they still opposed it, stuff that they were absolutely for in the normal circumstances. Now, if somebody comes out with a halfway sensible policy, and if you say, I'm going to reject any and everything that comes out, I don't care what it is, and he comes out with something actually sane and sensible, and maybe even slightly to the right, and your response is, it's not right-wing enough, because you've already baked into the cake that you have to actually pretend to not like what he's doing. Which means that these guys started to look crazier and crazier. Obama tends to start his negotiations from their half-point line. So if he's already on their side, these guys are way off the political spectrum. So my point is, Harry Reid had the opportunity to get rid of this. And now that he did not take that opportunity, now that they're in the minority, they're like, yeah, I think that filibuster is, Yeah, it's outlived its usefulness. We shouldn't have that. No, we don't need that. Majority rule is enough. Let's get rid of that. Now, some of the other Republicans had a bit of trepidation in doing that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was John McCain and there was somebody else saying they were uncomfortable with the idea of removing the filibuster because they felt, and this is what they said. I don't think it's true, but this is what they said. They said they felt that the minority party needs to have the ability to make their grievance shown. And then if you remove the filibuster, for the most part, you can ram any legislation down. And there will be no legal recourse outside of the courts. I suspect there's a different reason. I suspect that some of these guys, maybe even John McCain, is not as craven as they let off to be. I'm suggesting that some of the behavior that these guys take on is pure theater. Now, when you're within a reference frame, it's hard to see people in your reference frame looking fake, if that makes sense. So for instance, if I'm watching a Ted Cruz speech, I'm like, God, he's so plastic. He has a rubber face. Why is this? Oh, it's gross. To me, he's acting. When I see him, I think he's acting. And that's part of the reason it's so hard to look at him. But at the same token, when I see Obama speak, sometimes I think he's acting, but for the most part, he seems like he's just delivering a message. Now, granted, Obama is coaxing that message in a certain language and iconography. It's a brand. But what he's saying, for the most part, is typically things I agree with. But granted, understand my point. He's saying it not because he's necessarily going to implement it or not because he's going to do it, but because he knows those things are popular and his base wants to hear it. So to me looking at that, from my frame of reference, that sounds sane to me. That sounds perfectly okay. He doesn't seem like he's acting. I would almost guarantee you, though, a Republican would look at the same thing and think to themselves, that guy's full of shit. Frame of reference. I mean, it's amazing. But in this situation, I think there's more to him than just that acting, though. I think when things are well, and the country is doing relatively okay, and for the most part the country views itself as being safe, these guys will politically grandstand for power, which means they're willing to chuck the country overboard to a certain degree. But everybody has that point of, oh man, I can't do that. I can't go that far. I think Trump is their breaking point. Like, I think Trump is the, whatever that quantity is that says, it's too much. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's going to hurt people. I think they have deep fears about giving Trump the ability to just run roughshod laws and policy. I think they're terrified about it, just as much as some of the Democrats are. And I don't think they want that on their heads. So, how do you deal with it? You say, no, I don't want to remove the filibuster. And then when legislation comes up, you're like, God damn it, those Democrats, they keep filibustering. It's theater to some degree. I don't think these guys want to take the blame for whatever the hell Trump ends up doing in that White House. So yeah, I do think they want to keep Democrats as some level of opposition, even though they're ridiculously weak opposition. So Chuck Schumer was talking about this, and Chuck Schumer had a really good point, actually. So Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, the Democratic minority leader, said Judge Gorsuch must meet the 60-vote threshold required to overcome a filibuster in the Senate. History, and especially recent history, demand it, he said. If this nominee cannot meet the same standard that Republicans insisted upon for President Obama's Supreme Court nominees, 60 votes in the Senate, then the problem lies not with the Senate, but with the nominee. So, yeah, he's right. From the time Obama took office, they forced them to pretty much have 60 votes to get anything passed. They filibustered everything. Didn't matter what it was. Do you know that they kept Congress in session so Obama would not be able to make recess appointments to the bench? Democrats, if you guys do this, you are the most pathetic species on the planet if you let this pass. Look, if they take your filibuster away, fair enough. I get it. And I make the case that I hope you've learned a lesson from this so that the next time you're in power and you get the opportunity, strip them bare. You're assuming that when they get into the situation of power, that they're going to look at what you did and say, okay, we're going to leave them with that filibuster. But I have no idea why you're making that assumption. They've broken one precedent after the other, over and over and over, whether it's the debt ceiling, whether it's shutting down the government over like Obamacare. They voted 60 times to get rid of Obamacare. I mean, for the most part, they were out there wasting time. What point did you think these people were reasonable? I don't understand why you guys thought that. I understand in the sense of saying, okay, when we get in that particular position, we're going to need filibuster. But the disconnect is, why do you think they're going to keep the filibuster around? And look, the report from yesterday was saying that Democrats were scared to use the filibuster because they didn't want them to take away the filibuster. Again, do you know how ridiculous that sounds? Come on, man. When you guys are in power, you have the opportunity to put judges on benches and everything else. And it takes you forever to do it. I mean, to even rip away the filibuster from just judges. Now, you guys are in a situation where they may take it from you. And you couldn't do anything about it. Which means that when you had the opportunity, you could have rammed every last one of those judges through. Every last one of them. Because at the end of the day, when you guys lose your power, they're going to do the same thing to you. But at the very least, you would have still had those judges in those seats at this very moment. I hope they don't take away the filibuster. But Democrats, you got to understand, your policy on this is absolutely absurd. It doesn't make any sense. When we're in power, we're not going to take away the filibuster from them. When we're out of power, we're not going to use the filibuster because they're scared they're going to take it from us. I don't get it, man. It makes no sense. So they're making the point that Democrats have started to look into Gorsh, look into his record. Try to figure out, essentially, look, who is this guy that Trump is putting up to the court? So Republicans, again, ran to the first camera they could find before Democrats. And what's the guy's name? Senator Ben Sasse from Nebraska. Senator Schumer is about to tell Americans that Judge Gorsh kicked puppies and heckles piano recitals. That's hogwash. Promptly, Schumer, well, to be fair to Schumer, he didn't say that he kicked puppies. He didn't say that. To be honest, this may be worse. So he says, among the other concerns, he has voted in favor of employers, including Hobby Lobby, who cited religious objections while refusing to provide some form of contraception coverage to female workers. Mr. Schumer said Judge Gorsh has repeatedly sided with corporations over working people and demonstrated a hostility towards women's rights. Yeah, there's a problem with that statement. Chuck, so have you. I mean, granted, you haven't been hostile towards women's rights. Democrats have played identity politics in the sense of, we're the party who's okay with your sexuality. We're the party who's not going to mess around with whatever you do in your bedroom. That's fair. But repeatedly sided with corporations over working people? You don't think that fits your description? And the description of most of the other Democrats in the party? Okay. Fair enough. This is somewhat worrying. I'm making a little bit of hay of it, but it would be somewhat of a big deal if Trump could just run policy after policy after policy after policy, and there's no opposition other than challenging them in courts, because for the most part they've neutered the Democratic Party. And we can't even say they neutered. Democratic Party neutered themselves, if we're being honest. This is your bed, guys. That's all I'm saying. This is your bed. This is the choices that you guys made. And the whole country is going to take a hit for your choices, which sucks. But if we want a better world, is it possible that we had to go through a Trump to get it? Like, is there just a karmic debt associated with our complacency over the past 40, 50 years with regards to politics? We let those guys do whatever they wanted. Jump around the country, killing civilians, giving exorbitant amount of power and money to banks and corporations. We had no oversight. A populist comes in, and both parties, for the most part, who has been tone deaf to the pleas of the masses. He comes in and says, I'm listening to you guys. He's lying through his teeth, but at the very least, he's lying in a way that they want to hear it. You brought this on yourself with your policies, the things that you guys were doing. You know, the absurdity of Hillary Clinton running through the country saying that now she's against the TPP even though she was before it before. While at the exact same time, President Obama is making a push to pass the TPP. And all of the people in those upper states know full well that NAFTA, the bill that her husband signed, was to many degrees why they lost their jobs. You brought this on yourselves. I'm just sorry that we're all going to take the hit for it. Are they going to get rid of the filibuster? I don't know. I mean, it depends on whether you're going to get a few Republicans very uncomfortable with what it means to have that much power and to be able to have to take the entire consequence of the actions of that president. So, I don't know. If there's any shred of decency in them, no, they wouldn't take it away. They'd be terrified. If there's not, it's gone. So, I don't know. I'm hopeful that some of those guys will put country ahead of politics. I've seen no evidence to base that hope on. So, I will base it on self-interest. And I will say in their situation, you can make an argument that it's a greater self-interest to allow the Democrats to have that filibuster, if only to protect your seat from later on for the consequences of the public. So, all right, guys. Thank you.